What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Collectors Gone Digital. My name is Josh, and on today's episode, we're talking about some fun facts you probably don't know about certain characters and collectibles on VeVe. Now, I don't want to waste any time with today's intro. I know our last episode was a bit of a serious one, so I want to take the focus back over to the entertainment side. Grab a drink, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alright, so we're starting off with a collectible that put a big smile on my face when it first got announced, and that is Pink Panther. I actually couldn't stop watching the Steve Martin movies when this dropped. Love those films. In the original 1963 film, the Pink Panther refers to a valuable diamond with a flaw resembling a leaping panther. Now, this specific detail actually often gets overlooked because now the animated character often overshadows the diamond's lore. Now, initial sketches of the Pink Panther were actually rejected for being too muscular. The final design was a result of a deliberate effort to create a character that was both sophisticated and comically flexible. Now, the choice of pink for the Panther was actually somewhat accidental. The animators actually experimented with various colors, but pink stood out as the most unusual and visually striking choice, which actually broke the mold of typical character colors at the time. Now, speaking of visually striking, the character was actually almost named the Yellow Panther, but due to concerns that it might blend too much in with backgrounds and other characters, they ended up going with pink. Now, next up on the list, and part of a recent drop here, we got Flounder from The Little Mermaid. So interestingly enough, despite his name, Flounder is not actually a flounderfish. He's actually designed to resemble a tropical reef fish. Now, Flounder actually makes a brief cameo, and he's not going to be the only one on today's list that does this, but he makes his cameo in Disney's Aladdin back in 1992. And this is during the scene where the Sultan is stacking toys, and you can actually spot a small Flounder toy among the items. Just a fun little Easter egg for the sharp-eyed fans. And the voice for the character in the original 1989 film was provided by an actor, Jason Marin, who was only 14 years old at the time. This was to bring an authentic, youthful energy to the character, and his voice was actually sped up in post-production as well to make him sound even younger and more childlike. Now, Flounder did actually go through several iterations during development. Early concepts actually depicted him as a more serious and older fish, but he was ultimately reimagined to provide a stronger contrast to Ariel's adventurous spirit. Next up, we got the Sandcrawler from Star Wars, more specifically Tatooine. And according to David, this is going to be a highly sought after piece in the future, so we'll have to see about that. Now get this. The design for the Sandcrawler was inspired by NASA's mobile launcher platform, which was used for transporting rockets at the Kennedy Space Center. The more and more research I do on Star Wars IP, the more and more I'm coming to find out that everything in Star Wars is built on real-world inspiration. Might even do a video on it, I don't know. Now, for the original 1977 film, a combination of full-scale sections and detailed miniatures were used to create the Sandcrawler. A large partial set was actually built for the scenes where characters would interact with the vehicle, while the miniatures were used for wide shots. Now, early concepts of the Sandcrawler actually depicted it as a much smaller and more utilitarian vehicle, but as the story developed, the design evolved into the massive fortress-like home of the Jawas, which also helped emphasize their nomadic and resourceful nature. Now, in the Star Wars universe, we also get an explanation as to where these things come from. It's explained that Sandcrawlers are actually originally mining vehicles used by colonists on Tatooine. So when the mining operations were seized and the vehicles were abandoned, the Jawas actually repurposed them for their own scavenging. Next up, we got Betty Boop. So she made her debut in the 1930 cartoon 𝗙𝗵𝗵𝗍. Her character actually had the appearance of a dog before she evolved into a fully human character by 1932, 2 years later. Now, her design and personality were inspired by popular flapper girls in the 1920s, especially singer Helen Kane. Kane's signature singing style and appearance heavily influenced Betty's character. Now, her cartoons were often met with censorship battles. They often pushed the boundaries of acceptable content in the 1930s, and this is because they over-sexualized her appearance and behavior. Now, all of that ended up getting toned down significantly, and this is after the enforcement of the Hays Code in 1934, which imposed strict moral guidelines on the entire film industry. Next up, we got another vehicle on the list, this time Lamborghini with their Aventador SVJ. Now this car actually set the Nürburgring lap ring back in 2018 with a time of 6 minutes and 44 seconds. And that time actually underscored its position as one of the fastest road legal cars in the world. Now the SVJ in the name stands for Super Veloce Hota. Super Veloce meaning super fast in Italian, and Hota is a destination that Lamborghini actually uses for most of their track-focused and high-performance models. It's actually a tradition of theirs that dates back to, I think it's like the 1970s. Now this model in particular actually features an advanced active aerodynamic system. So what this does is it adjusts the aerodynamic load in real time to optimize the downforce and reduce drag, which ultimately enhances the performance of the car. This car is going to be like the racing road legal version of the standard Aventador, and it was actually limited to just 900 units globally. Next up, for the 𝗘𝗿𝗍𝗀𝗀𝗧 fans, we got Mozzarella. I love that name. So Mozzarella is a leader of the 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗧, a gang of milk carton characters who strive to protect the milk supply from bullies. Now the character sports cow-like markings, a carton shape, and often carries a serious yet enduring expression. And this is to reflect a balance of cuteness versus toughness. As the leader of the 𝗕𝗵𝗄𝗧, Mozzarella is depicted as brave and protective. So the character's backstory emphasizes themes of friendship, bravery, and standing up to bullies, which has resonated with fans who appreciate strong and positive role models. Now for those who don't know much about 𝗘𝗿𝗍𝗀𝗀𝗧, I learned this one while making the video, but Mozzarella is actually going to be one of the most popular characters in their lineup. She's actually featured in a wide range of merchandise. So vinyl figures, plush toys, clothing, accessories, a whole range. Next up, we got my favorite Pixar character, the one and only 𝗕𝗏𝗏. And 𝗕𝗏𝗏 was inspired by a 1951 International Harvester tow truck that was actually found by Pixar artists in a salvage yard. So his design and personality were influenced by the real-life truck, and then also various elements of rural America. Now his character is voiced by comedian Larry the Cable Guy, who, get this, often improvises many of 𝗕𝗏𝗏's lines. So his ability to ad-lib adds authenticity and spontaneity to his character, which has also contributed to his genuine and humorous appeal. Now his original design actually included a hood and a different color scheme, but during development, Pixar actually decided to remove the hood to give him a more weathered and worn look, reflecting his hardworking nature and adding to his charm. He too makes some cameo appearances in other Pixar films. So for instance, a toy version of him actually appears in Toy Story 3 back in 2010, and then he's also briefly seen in Finding Dory in 2016. So during the ending credits, he actually pops up as well. And moving on, we got Voltron. So this show was actually adapted from two different Japanese anime series. We have Beast King Go Lion and Armored Fleet 𝗘𝗏𝗏𝗏. So the first Voltron series was a combination of these two shows. Now the name Voltron is a portmanteau of voltage and electronic, which is meant to suggest power and advanced technology. It was also chosen to convey might and the futuristic aspects of the giant robot. Now speaking of the giant robot, the most iconic version of Voltron is known as the Lion Force Voltron, which is formed by 5 robotic lions piloted by a team of space explorers. So each lion represents a different element. The black lion is the leader, the red lion, fire, green lion, forest, blue lion, water, and yellow lion, earth. Now unfortunately, and like many shows that come over to the West, the characters and plot were significantly altered for the American audience. So in the original Go Lion series, the story was a lot darker and more violent, whereas to make it more suitable for children, elements were toned down or entirely removed for the American version. So as I've said before, if you didn't know, now you do. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Those were 8 collectibles and some fun facts associated with them that I hope not many people who watch this video know about. Now we will also be dropping some new merch this weekend. This collection coming up is inspired by Scotty Young, and all characters involved in this collection I can proudly say are hand-drawn by the one and only DAVO over on X. So I am going to link his stuff in the description down below. If you guys want to check him out, I highly recommend it. His art is fantastic. He's actually the one responsible for the VeVe NFTs as well. But he personally hand drew 6 characters for me that I ended up turning into different clothing designs for you. We got Black Panther, Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Thor. Any feedback or reviews would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. But if you enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I will catch you then.